What's good, YouTube? This is the Only Big Green Yu-Gi-Oh! Again, back with another deck profile. This deck profile is Paleozoic Frogs, and this was really fun to play today. I actually went undefeated today. We only had 3 rounds because there wasn't that many people, but I will add this. I will add the game before the tournament start that I played with for testing purposes because it is a good mention, even though it wasn't a tournament. I did beat it. It was Trick Stars. I played this up against Trick Stars, and I pretty much, if I went first, I dominated Trick Stars. If I made a Toad up against him, I completely dominated him. So the Trick Star matchup wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be with this deck. But I do want to add that in there, even though it wasn't a tournament match, because it is one of the better meta decks right now, especially when you have it with Sky Strikers. But for the tournament that I went 3-0 in, I faced 6 Sams round 1, which really scared me to death because they can just make Beast, Barkion, Sheehan. I shake their hand because there's nothing I can do. But I actually clutched it out and won it in Game 3. Game 2, or round 2, I played the Monarchs, yeah, because I don't know why I went brain dead on that. That's an old archetype. But I played Monarchs, and I went 2-0 up against them. And then Game 3, I played Altergeist. That was super fun, though. I had so much fun facing the Altergeist deck. We went into Game 3, and the only reason I won Game 1 was Gozen match, and the only reason I won Game 3 was because of the Ash Blossom. But other than that, that match was extremely fun, and that had a lot of amazing plays in that match. If there was any game that I've ever played in my life that I would upload to YouTube if I had it recorded, it would have been that match. Because that was probably one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Matches, most back-and-forth Yu-Gi-Oh! Matches I've ever had in my life. And it's weird because it was with standard Yu-Gi-Oh! And not GOAT format. Normally, most of my good matches are in GOAT format. Anyways, enough rambling. It's been 2 minutes. Time to get into the deck profile. I played 3 Swap Frog. Every time I opened this card up, I won that game. And I can confidently say, if you open this card up and you play the deck right, you will win that game, unless if the opponent just has an even nuttier hand than you do. Anyways, whenever he's normal summon or special summon, you can send to grave a water monster. And then his other effects are, you can discard a water monster to special summon him from your hand. And then his last 2 effects are, once per turn, you can bounce him back to your hand. And then the last effect is, you can then normal summon or set, in addition to your normal summoner set this turn, a frog monster. Next up, Dupe Frog, the second best card in the deck, besides Swap Frog. His effects are, he's the only monster that can be targeted for attacks, which if you have 2 of them, there's a thing called the Dupe Lock or the Dupe Frog Lock, which some of you newer players might not know about it, but the OG players definitely know about it. It's where your opponent just can't attack. Then his other effects are, whenever he's sent to the graveyard from the field, you can add to hand a water monster. That is the most busted effect because you can use him, link with him, go into a Starboy, add to hand a Swap Frog, summon Swap Frog, dump like a Rodent Totem or a Dupe Frog if your Rodent Totem's already in the grave, proceed to just make double Toad or just a 1 Toad. So this card sets up so many plays, especially comboed with Swap. Next up, the boy Rodent Totem. Deck wouldn't be possible without this guy. All of the frog monsters can easily be the top 3 cards in the deck because without any of these 3, it's just going to be hard to play it. But his effect pretty much just says, get called by the grave. Or something's getting called by the grave when he hits the grave. Which actually got called by the grave once in the Altergeist matchup, and I did lose that game. It was game 2 that I lost because of called by the grave. But anyways, Toad, banish a frog monster, special summon him from the grave. And then next up, if it wasn't for this card, I would not have won Game 3 and I wouldn't have went undefeated. Good old Ash Blossom. I only own 1. I need 1 more, or not 1 more. I need 2 more so bad. But if you guys don't have Ash, don't worry. This was the first time with me actually playing Ash, because I pulled it literally yesterday. Or on Tuesday, because by the time this video uploads, it's probably going to be Friday. Yeah, it'll be Friday when I get this video uploaded. But on Tuesday of this week, I pulled the Ash Blossom. I was like super happy, and I finally got to put it in this deck to play for this tournament here. And who would have thought that this card would have actually won me a game? Although some of you guys that's actually had the money for Ash are probably like, yeah, dummy, Ash wins games. And then next up, Gamma Seal. Really good. Really good. This card is super good, especially with Mistar Boy and Toad, because you can just keep reusing him back into your hand. But I normally use him to break boards or monsters like Sheehan and Barkion in the 6-Sam matchup to just go in and proceed to make combos. Next up, the spells. I only play, I think, 5 spells. The 2 Pot of Desires, Banish top 10, draw 2. The Banish 10 doesn't really hurt in this deck. Some of you might think it does, but there's a Paleo in here that I run that just makes it to where I don't really care about the Banish 10. Unless, of course, you get Ash, then the Banish 10 hurts. Next up, these should be sideboarded, but I decided to mainboard, and I'm happy I did mainboard them. They did really well today. The Dark Hole, which won me up against the 6-Sams matchup. They had Summoner Sorceress out, 2 of their 6-Sams guys, a Sheehan, and then a Barkion. And what I did is I made the Gamma Seal on their Sheehan. I activated Desires, banished 10. My first draw was a Desires. It's like, oh my lord, I'm going to lose this game. My second draw was a Dark Hole, and I was like, oh my lord, I'm going to win this game. I activated Dark Hole. They had no responses, no nothing. And then I proceeded to normal summon my Swap Frog. And then I made a Toad. And then it came to their turn. They drew for turn. They only had 3 cards in hand. And they were just like, yeah, I scoop. I just can't do anything. Probably the most useless card today. It didn't really do anything. The Scapegoat. I'm still going to play it at 1, though. Because it can be good for link plays. It's also really good for stalling for a good turn. Other than that, it didn't really do anything. Olenoides. On to the Paleo, the reason you guys are here. 3 Olenoides. He's the MST of the deck. Destroy your spell or trap. And every Paleo monster has the effect where once per chain, you can special summon a Paleozoic. Like chain it to a trap card and special summon it. If, of course, it resolves. Next up, Canadia. Or Candia. Or Canadia. However you... I've heard it pronounced 3 ways. I pronounce it Canadia. It's the Book of Moon of the deck. Or the Fairy Tale Snow of the deck. Flip a monster face down. This card I only activated 3 times, and every 3 times I activated, I proceeded to win my next turn. The Dinomischus. You target a card your opponent controls, then discard a card, and then you banish a monster. And the funny thing is, I believe the target is what am I saying? Your targeting of the monster is the cost of the card, not the discard. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I'm 100% positive that the cost for this activation is the target of the card, which I think is absolutely dumb. Don't know why Konami would do that or word the card that way, because that's what makes this card even busted than what it already is. Next up, I feel this card is a bit overhyped. I don't care much for it. 1 Morella. I'm only playing 1. I was playing 2, but I cut it down to 1, and it's fine at 1. I'm probably going to leave it at 1. I don't know why some people play this at 3 or some people play it at 2, though. I never have cared much for it. It does work good in, like, making your deck thinner, pumping Paleos in the grave, or if you have the Lost Winds, pump the Lost Winds in the grave. Other than that, it doesn't really do anything beside that, though. Next up, one of my favorite Paleos in the grave, not because it's, like, super good, but because nobody really plays it, Hallucigenia. You can target a face-up monster your opponent controls and half its attack and defense. I mainly use this to protect my Toad. Whenever they'll go into battle phase swinging for Toad, I'd be like, alright, during damage step, attempt to activate Hallucigenia. This guy I'm moving up to 2. I'm going to have to do it somehow. But Leoncola, target a banished card and return it to the graveyard. So if you banish something off of Desires, just activate Leoncola. Return any of your frogs that got banished or any Paleos if you had no frogs banished, or like a Lost Win if it got banished. This card is so good and so versatile. Next up, Pikaia. He didn't really do anything, but I do like him. You discard a Paleozoic card and then draw 2 cards. And then on to the non-Paleozoic trap cards. My one-ofs, I got the Lost Wind, which didn't really do anything other than the 6-Sam matchup. I don't like Lost Wind as much like other people do. I was playing 3 and 2. I just put it down to 1, and I like it at 1. The 1 TT. This card is just, it's random. Some days I'll have it at 2, some days I'll have it at 1, other days I'll have it at 3. Today it was at 1, and I liked it at 1. If I had 3, I would play 3. Goes and match. This card is probably the best trap card in the deck, not counting the Paleozoics or the Solemn Brigade engine. Ultrageist, this won me the game, and if I would have saw it 6 Sams would be praying to somehow get rid of this, because 6 Sams would have lost the game too if I would have saw this. Next up, 2 Heavy Storm Dusters. Destroy 2 spell or trap cards. You can't conduct your battle phase. I normally do this on my opponent's turn. Don't know why you would do this on your turn. 3 Reckless Greeds. Draw 2, skip next 2 draw phases. These could be called a demise if you have the demises. Although, if I had the demises, I don't know if I would play the demise. I probably wouldn't even play demise if I had it, all because of the number of monsters that I play. And then the Solemn Brigade package. We have the best trap card in the game's history, arguably. And then his minions. Solemn Warning, 2 strikes, and a Judgment. I don't play 3 strikes. I don't know if I want to up strike to 3. I think I'll just leave it at 2 for now, because it's good at 2. And then the Warning, of course, is at 1, or you would play more than 1. Judgment is at 1. Judgment will... Please, Konami, put Judgment more to 1, so decks like these can absolutely destroy other matchups. But it'll probably never be up to 1. If it does come up to 1, thank you, Konami. Next up, the extra deck. 2 Mistar Boys. All water monsters gain the 500 attack and defense. So things like Dupe Frogs become a 2500 defense that can be the only attack target. And then Totally Awesome becomes a 27 beater, which is absolutely insane. And then the effect that doesn't really apply is, of course, the fire monsters lose 400, but like I say, that'll probably never come up. And then his other effect that'll come up every now and then is whenever he's sent to the graveyard, you can add to hand of water monsters. Next up, we got the engine for the Scapegoat, because I don't have any Link Spiders, or I don't own any of the Link Kribo, Saryuja, or anything like that. So I just play like these guys, like go into Mrs. Radiant, a Proxy Dragon, and then like make a Toad or something down there. Or if I'm trying to push for game and my opponent has no back row, I'll just like go into a Decode Talker or something like that. They really do nothing though. I need to get other things. Toad. The reason I play this deck, I said swap or dupe is probably the best monster in the main board. This is definitely the best monster in the the extra deck. This card's really good. During either player's standby phase, you can detach material to special summon a frog monster. Or I believe it's either a frog or a water, who cares. You just go grab Dupe Frog on your opponent's turn and swap on your turn. Then his other effect, which is the effect that you guys might know him for, is the tribute a water monster on the field, or like send a water monster from your hand or field to the graveyard, and then negate a spell trap or monster effect. And of course, that's a once per turn. The good thing is, it's not a hard once per turn. If that was a hard once per turn, Toad would be nowhere near as good as he is. And then the other effect is the Mistar Boy effect, where whenever he's sent to the grave, you can add back a water monster to your hand. So most likely a Gameciel or a Swap Frog. This guy needs to be put down to 1. Whenever I get like the Cavalry or something like that, or more of the Link things, he'll definitely be at 1 in the deck. But I like to call him Almalolalalalala because I can't pronounce that. And I'm country and I'm from Tennessee, so our education is very bad here. So we don't learn things like these. Anyways, his effect is he's unaffected by monster effects, which can be good, but also bad because he doesn't gain the boost from his Star Boy. Also, whenever a trap card is under him as an Xyz material, you can detach something, and once per turn, you can pop a card on the field. That's a hard once per turn, which sucks. And then the other effects is whenever you activate a trap card, you excavate the top card of your deck. If it's a trap, add it to your hand. If it's not, send it to the grave. The only time that sucks is when it's a spell card. Cause monsters, I mean, sure, you can just get them back with the Totally Awesome whenever you send to the grave, or get it back with the Star Boy. With spells, it's like the only thing where it hurts. And then the 2 Opobina. This guy's good at 2. I normally, whenever I'm trying to just stall out a bit more, I make him and a Toad and a Star Boy. But whenever I'm pushing for game, I like Toad and then a Star Boy. Or every now and then I will make this guy Anyways, unaffected by monster effects, just like the other guy. Of course, you have to have trap cards under him. You have to have a Paleozoic trap card as a material to get the search effect that he has, and then the activate from hand and stuff like that. Phantom Knight of Cursed Javelin. This guy didn't really come up, but I like making him in testing. Whenever I'm testing this deck, I normally make him a lot more, but today I didn't make him at all, but I'm still going to play him at 1. And then the Cat Shark Daigusto Phoenix combo. Didn't really go into it. Never have went into it in testing either. But it's still definitely something that I need to play for in cases where I'm trying to go for an OTK. If you guys don't know the combo, Cat Shark, you detach material to double a monster's attack. So Daigusto Phoenix becomes 3,000. And then you detach for Daigusto Phoenix and he attacks twice. So that's 6,000. Then you can attack with this for 500. And if you have like a Mistar Boy, that's pretty much game. And anyways, that was the Paleozoic deck. I have my sideboard, but it's not good at all. So there's really no, I guess I'll just skim it real quick for you guys. I just don't like my sideboard that much. The only good cards in the sideboard are like these two and then the Ogres, which I've thought about mainboarding, but I'm probably going to keep inside. These I should mainboard, but I just don't. But that's just like a little skim of the sideboard. Anyways, this has been the Only Big Green Yu-Gi-Oh! And this deck has been really fun to play. And I will say, if you're looking to get better at Yu-Gi-Oh!, definitely play this deck. This deck will definitely make you better at Yu-Gi-Oh! Especially since all I've been playing is Chain Burn here lately. Or like gimmicky decks like Exodia, Time Lord, or Grin Manju. Like decks where you just board wipe, swing for game. Or decks where you just activate a bunch of burn or draw cards and then win. Now getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you actually play the opponent. Feels fun again to do this. Anyways, guys, this is the Only Big Green Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Johnny. If you guys didn't like the video, leave that dislike. Leave a thumbs down if you didn't like it. And if you're subscribed and you don't like my channel, unsubscribe from me. Unsubscribe from me if you don't like my channel. And then I'll see you guys later.